Hey guys, my name's StrikePath, and today I'm talking to you about dubstep growls and how to process them. So I'm going to play this demo track for you real quick, and then we're going to really get into it. So here we go. Alright, so with this growl I was going for more of like the barely alive, kind of like, I don't know, like zomboish, distorted, kind of, I don't know, it just sounds slimy. It sounds good though, I like it. So, to make this growl, what you're going to need is the wow filter and serum. And it's pretty simple. Well, the processing is the patch. It looks complicated, but once you get down to actually making it, it's not so bad. This patch is actually available for free download on my SoundCloud page. It's Basic Dubstep Sounds Volume 1. There will be a link in the description and up here. It's 12, the pack itself is 12 sounds. They're just like the basic dubstep sounds, like hence the title. You have like the saw that you heard down here. And yeah, so you go download that. I'm not going to go through in this video and tell you how exactly to recreate this patch. You can just kind of copy my settings, although it'll be hard because of the LFOs, but I'll try my best. Basically all it is two LFOs modulating the wavetable position, the bend minus plus, and the band EQ filters. Along with this EQ, the distortion is kind of just the cherry on top. Now take a second and look at this EQ here. It looks very similar to this one down here, and that's because we're trying to replicate that kind of formant effect, and we're starting it off in the patch. So I'm going to play this patch real quick without the processing, and it's not going to sound as good, but you'll definitely hear the basis of our sound. Like I said, not as good, but it's there. Now check it out without the EQ and you'll see what I'm talking about with that formant kind of thing here. That was with, and now here's without. Big difference. It adds that, like, you know it's going to be a monster growl once you start adding the EQ and stuff. There's also a compressor on here. It's just the multi-band compressor, just to kind of keep things, limited and together and nice. Other than that, it's a pretty simple patch. Like I said, go download it off my SoundCloud page. It's free download. Oh, one more thing. This LFO2, it's modulating the master tuning here. So every time it's going up on the LFO, it's actually going down 2 semitones, the pitch of the growl. And that adds a really cool, it makes it sound like it's actually talking and it's real. It's not just that stagnant same tone. Alright, so enough of the patch. We're going to start with the processing. And the first thing you'll see on there is that compressor. And it's the brick wall compressor, which comes with Ableton, but it's basically just a limiter. The ratio is infinite to 1, the attack's super quick, and the release is 100 milliseconds. The threshold's negative 9.7, and the out is being turned down by 0.5, and we have makeup gain on. I'm sure if there's not an exactly similar preset in whatever DAW you're using, that you can get a compressor to do this exact same thing, or just use a limiter. Realistically, we're just using this to keep the sound at that same level, and what I mean by that is not necessarily on just this track, but on this track, and this track, and this track, and then when we mix them all together, they're going to be at the same volume, because I'm lazy, and that's the workaround I've found. So we're going to move into the auto filter, and the auto filter adds some of that bottom end grunt, and you wouldn't think that because it's a high pass filter, but once you hear it in action you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So here's without again real quick. Here's with. Not a huge difference, but it's definitely there. It's definitely a step in the right direction. Using the auto filter with the resonance up high like that, I actually don't know what it does, but it does add that low end to it, and it also carves out those frequencies so you get more of that movement. Seamless had this featured in a video. I think it was the Virtual Riot video. He went into this way more in depth and just seamless the hell out of it, and it was awesome. But for what we're doing here today, just know that the auto filter plus high pass auto filter plus high resonance plus the frequency modulation equals awesome. So we're going to move on to the EQ8 now, and this is what I call a formant EQ8, or what many people call a formant EQ. It's the two peaks and the notch. And all I've done is I've modulated the peaks to kind of mirror and dance with each other on their respective sides of the notch. And the notch is just going down in the middle. And interestingly enough, the notch is what really determines the tone of the sound. Here's what it sounds like with it on. And off for reference. And now here, if you move the notch around just a little bit while it's playing, how much a difference it makes in the tone of the sound. So you can get a lot of different things going out of this one sound by just kind of moving things around. Now let's go into the wow filter, where we've got some pretty simple settings, and it really does make the sound go wow. It's that final touch. Here's without again, and with. So that's kind of adds that effect of, like, the barely alive kind of growl, the Zomboid kind of growl. It really like puts it in that ballpark. And it's pretty simple. It's just the band reject on vowel mode. Vowel A is A and vowel B is O double dot. Overdrive is just under 9 o'clock. Resonance is like 60, and the cutoff's all the way down, mapped about halfway with the envelope follower and the LFO. And the LFO is on, the rate is 1/2 with the triangle wave. And then you turn the mix up all the way, and it's awesome. This last little EQ here, it's something that I do on some growls sometimes. Not everyone, and on this particular version of this growl, it doesn't have a huge effect, but I'll show it to you on a different one. But I just want to explain what it is, and right now, it's off. There we go. So what it is it's just a mid-side EQ, but the sides, they have a little gain behind them, or they have a little gain, and they're modulated to move up and down with the sound. What that does is it puts extra stereo data in the way off in the sides. That's why we're using the mid-side, and it kind of makes it sound like there's something else there. There's some other sound acting in the background, either going against or with our sound. And I think it was it this one that it worked really well on? Obviously not. Oh, maybe. Yeah, no, I don't think it was. It was... We'll definitely play around with it. Maybe it was in one of my other songs that I had used it on. Like I said, I don't use it all that often, but when you use it and it works, it sounds wonderful. All you do is you just modulate this little guy to move up and down with your sound. And you can get really good results out of it sometimes. Alright, and that's basically it. You've got your, semi-growly patch with the EQ and the filters and stuff. And then you have your compression, you do the filter thing, and you have your vowel EQ, and then you add the wow filter, and you're pretty much there. Growls are really not that difficult once you understand the process of getting the sound that you want to get. And to take it one step further, and to get many, many growls out of one growl, what you can do is note the LFO shapes in this growl, same growl preset, but the LFO shapes in that one are different than the ones in this one. And this one. And this one. They're all different. They're doing different things. You can really like kind of play with the tone of the growl just by adjusting the bend and the curve of the LFO. So, like I said, you can get this preset off my SoundCloud. It's free download. It comes with 11 other presets. They're all pretty good, especially once you apply this processing or whatever processing you come up with to them. Now, another thing to note is on this bass group here, I have the volume shaper active, and all this is, it doesn't change the sound at all, except for sidechaining it. This is the way I sidechain, and this is the way I think you should sidechain, because it's awesome. It's much better than the stock Ableton compressor at sidechaining, excuse me. And let's just give you an example of what it sounds like with it off. That sounds like a very amateur track. It doesn't sound glued together at all. But then you add the side chaining. And you can't even really hear that the sounds are being ducked, but you hear that the drums and the basses they sound like they're on the same track. They sound like they go together perfectly, and that really helps you in your mixdown stage. Once you start getting into like trying to make room for everything, sidechaining is a huge benefit. So just a little extra tip there for you guys. And that's what this track is here. It's the trigger track for the sidechain, for those of you who are wondering. And then this EQ here on the group just cuts out all the sub, and I've just replaced it down here. Alright, I think that's everything. If you have any questions or comments, concerns, or better ways to do anything, just leave a comment below and let's talk about it. I'm still learning new things every day, and the more I talk about, the more I do, the more I learn. That's why I do these tutorials. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that fancy stuff. If you have any suggestions for tutorials or requests, go ahead and leave them below too. I'm all ears. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm StrikePath. Have a good day.